Hello everyone, SinisterHeart here. We are back with another Let's Play. Today we're playing the Beginner's Guide. It's something I've seen on Steam for a while now, and I thought, you know what, let's jump into it and see what it's all about. So, I've seen some screenshots. I really know next to nothing about this game, so let's make sure the options are in order. Then we're going to click Begin Game and see what this is all about.
Hi there. Thank you very much
Hello.
for playing the Beginner's Guide.
You're welcome.
My name is Davey Reedon.
Hello,
I wrote
Davey.
The Stanley Parable.
Oh,
and while
okay.
that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda.
Coda, all
Now,
right.
these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike.
Say.
You can walk around here, by the way.
Okay.
And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment.
Makes sense.
But
Looks
what I
very
like
familiar.
is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person.
Right.
It kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all
There are
of
a lot of
Coda's
fun
games.
things.
I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here.
Okay.
So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever.
Okay.
And I think he
Makes
really
sense.
understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped.
Oh.
In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed.
Okay.
This first one was made in November 2008.
November 2008. Okay. Oh. Warning, whisper machine active. Evacuate immediately. What is it? Ooh.
Warning. Whisper machine active. Shift destruction imminent.
Oh, gotta get out of here.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from
Ugh.
Coda.
No aiming, but I can fire. No reload. What am I gonna shoot at? Okay, I mean, it's pretty basic, but it's not by any means bad. Uh-oh.
It kind of looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For
What?
instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere.
Yeah,
But then
it-
clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even
noticing.
reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately, we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are,
Okay.
rather than for what they're not.
Makes sense, yeah.
Enemy force
Here we go.
neutralized. Begin shooting that.
Oh, okay.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Lovely. I mean, hey, it's way better than anything I could make. Oh, there we go. Another passageway down another... I like these bottom lights on the floor. Okay. Ooh, this is like a... Is this
Apparently,
a maze
the space
or...
station has a labyrinth on it.
Interesting design choice.
Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting.
All right.
The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Okay.
Hey, you there, in the engine
Hello?
room. You could save us all.
All right.
That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If you...
Heat signature.
Your body could stop the beam.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll
It's
just
so
jump
much
into
to
it.
ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Shit, why not? Oh, I died.
Let me pause here for a second.
Okay.
What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level.
Okay.
But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Okay. Oh, I'm ascending. I'm going above. I died, so now I'm ascending from this mortal coil.
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place,
fair.
juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind. So
Can I
try
move?
walking
There we go.
backwards.
Nope, I can walk backwards.
Yep. In this game, you can only walk backwards.
The pass was behind her, okay. Oh,
So it's a short and
not
relatively
be seen.
minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative.
why does
It
the
is less
feature keep
advanced than the
changing?
previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Fair. Short, but poetic in a sense. Oh, now I have a new way to go. It becomes clear when she stops and looks. But if the future is always behind her, how will she find the strength to confront it?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that.
Fair.
Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
It's very dark. Oh. Very dark. You are now entering.
And that's it.
Oh,
Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting. Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games.
Huh.
I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games.
Nonsense is.
He would really only
in
talk to me
every
about his work
direction.
as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I
Oh.
don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
Everyone approaches art in their own way. For some people,
I know it's tempting, but there's actually nothing over here.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Thanks for the heads up. Art presents itself differently to different people. For some, it's an ongoing living process. For others, it's a one and done. When I make video essays, oftentimes it's a one and done thing. I don't typically go to revisit it. A lot of my videos don't have direct sequels, save for a handful of exceptions. Ooh.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Okay. Huh. Stand on an X staring at a bear for 3 hours. A game of only posters and concept art showing what the game is intended to be. You must address and rally a group of eager press reporters. A stranger appears. You run a
room
shop.
that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
Huh. Press U to surrender. I beat them.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Ready, set, fish. I'm in a room. What lies beyond the room? Similar decal to the room we were just in. It's got that kind of portal vibe. Early Valve stuff.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Haha.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
We can see it a lot of opening a door, then quickly jumping through it, and then closing it, right? I like the trim lighting a lot.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again, so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Oh, there we go. Huh.
How about that? There was more
What
to
the
it than we had
hell?
any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player.
Right.
So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
To accept. Accept things as they are. I'm home now. I'm exiting. Can I re-enter? No, I cannot. Now exiting.
Aha. So this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game.
Perhaps,
There's
yeah.
a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
Endless nothing.
Let's talk
nice
about
little
video
house
game
here.
development for a second.
Sure.
Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do.
do. Right.
So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
Streetwise Fool.
To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly.
Right.
One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
Dang, doesn't go anywhere.
The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You
Wow.
might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear,
I am noticing that,
boxy
yeah.
corridors.
Whoop. Whoop. We're fine. We're good. Why don't we just take the quick way down? Lovely. Where are we now? His levels are really evolving to shorter, what we can limited see, to now this large, expansive area. It's very interesting, very interwoven and complex. I see what he's saying about very boxy and very linear directions. Oh, it's an elevator. Lovely. Okay, I have to go forward. Now I'm in jail.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go.
Wow.
If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
I kind of wanted to enjoy that, but
This is something
It is
that
what
he
it
and I
is.
used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible?
What?
And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
Well, I think that speaks to that, you know, conversation on whether or not games are for entertainment or whether they are for artistic expression, where those lines meet and converge. When does a game become more than a game? When does it become pure art in and of itself? And at that point, do we have a say in determining, you know, playability and determining its worth? If we ourselves don't get enjoyment out of playing it, if that's not the purpose. And that kind of speaks to that earlier conversation on, if we're not to understand, what's the point? If it's not to understand, what's the point? Which could be just to accept things as they are. No need to change things, force them into a specific box or label that we ourselves need to define, but taking it for what it is, which is an expression of the self. That's just how art is in general. We don't get to define what is and isn't. We just have to accept what is.
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time.
Lovely.
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over.
Simplicity.
I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Maybe the interpretation is sometimes the pathway forward requires that you close all doors behind you. Sometimes you can't move forward without severing what came before. That's just how life is sometimes, you know? A series of opening doors that require you shut certain ones in order to continue. Oh, listen. What am I listening to? Speak?
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
Oh. An open door. Are we right back to them, or? Oh, nice little courtyard.
It's a lamppost.
It is a lamppost.
Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason, Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long.
Perhaps.
'Cause now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something.
Okay.
He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them.
And I bet each one of these
And as we
doors
go,
is to a
that
different
idea
game.
will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Okay. In April of 2009, this game is connected to the internet. Oh boy. As you walk around, you can leave notes. Really? All notes you see are left by other players. Now I'm curious. Oh, there's a note. Nice room. Not. Well, that's kind of rude.
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're gonna see have been written by Coda. This was
Dang.
actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have
Damn.
to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy trying to get his attention. I was over enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually.
So it's preset, so I can't go over to those other areas. Hello. Reasonable.
Feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played. But it's ironic, isn't it, that in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work.
Fair.
I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too. At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again.
Okay.
And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it.
Mm-hmm.
And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
It's pretty close to what I was saying, yeah.
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
Sorry, I just want to point out, these 3 dots here I've seen popping up all over the place, and I'm not sure if there is a specific meaning, if it's a calling card. Like, why those 3 dots? Why that particular pattern? Why do I keep seeing that pop up?
And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together.
Right.
To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
Exactly. Fuck. I thought I saw something running up on me, and I nearly pissed myself. How do you leave notes? And here we are. All these people leaving notes. Typing away. May to June 2009. Born stars die
this
too.
one is tough. It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Okay. Oh. There we go. Interesting design. Same stock artwork, I assume. Okay. Kind of a modern-ish house. Oh, now I'm in the well.
See, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
Version 2. Huh. All the objects are gone. The well is still there. Do we have another doorway somewhere? What furniture ought to go in the center of the room? Let's put a giant hole in the ground. Oh, okay. Move on along the wall of the room. A huge picture of a horse. Couches, you got it. Exactly what I wanted. Skylight. Thinking 10 by 2 recessed electric sections, soft LED ceiling lights with a fluorescent trim. Let's go with that. A lamp. That's exactly what I wanted. You got it. And a table. You need a table. Tables were invented in 1935. Did not exist before. Oh, shit.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
I don't know. Homes are like after the pandemic. Homes are really just prisons of your
throws it out
design.
and starts over. This time, he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Hello. Please walk forward. This guide will enable you to escape any prison environment. Follow the instructions carefully. Take care that you remember each step. Okay. First, click this table. Okay. Over to the photo frame and click to turn it slightly. There's those 3 dots again. Now turn the floor lamp in this room off, turn it back on. Now go to the left sofa, move it over a little bit. Finally touch the shelves. That's it. In a real prison, the escape will now open. Return to the start to be taken back to your prison. Okay.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to
There's
escape.
no photo either.
Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on?
Nah, this is it.
Coda
This is
doesn't have that voice telling you to stop. That particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going.
Wow.
And then he hits on something.
Okay.
And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
Lamppost, that's usually our endpoint, right? So, love that sound. Add in the overbearing hum of cicadas and you got a Midwestern summer. Okay, now it feels a bit ominous. I'm not sure I like that. Making a phone call? Hello? Who is this? Hey, it's me. I'm you from after you escaped the prison. Keyword is were.
It's a conversation. And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
Paradox. What did they tell me? How did I get out? Be sincere. That freed you?
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games.
Fair.
After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice? So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
Huh. Good question. What are the doors? Okay. The doors show that these are linked in some way, shape, or form, but it's a lot more advanced now. We're kind of abandoning
to
the
me,
more
this
geometric
environment
shape.
is meant to represent Coda's puzzle.
Really?
With the 2 doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Not a terrible interpretation, okay. Spilled drink. And a person. Well, goodness, I'm glad it's like that you showed up. I thought I might have to be cleaning this entire house all by myself, and right miserable that would have been. Everyone knows lonesome hands make a lousy
You'll notice that the quality of the art
homes.
is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
Bedroom, you got it. Straighten out the rug. You enjoy being a house cleaner? Well, I don't enjoy it so much as I need it. While I'm working, I feel a kind of calm that rests in the pit of my ribcage. My soul just can't be soothed in any other way, it seems. Which I guess is about all that matters. Oh, that and a teddy couch. Would you straighten out the pillows on the sofa out there? You know, I kind of relate to that. For me, a way for me to control my anxiety is managing my space. Having a clean house, clean classroom, clean car just helps to quell that feeling in my ribcage, as that character put it. Make it especially cheesy, please. No. No, share, come on. Okay. You got it. Perfect. Oh, yeah? The place really is a bit of a mess.
After the intense set of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful.
Darling, let me tell you something. In your lifetime, you're going to clean a lot of houses. And among all of those, a few of them will stick out as truly wonderful,
Of all of
beautiful
his work,
experiences.
actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time, just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
Earlier when I said I had a really cheesy thought, I was going to say it occurs to me that one's house is a lot like one's soul. You take care of it and it takes care of you. Don't know why I felt so weird about saying that. But there is a bit of truth to it, though. There definitely is. A reflection of one's own self-care. Yep, you got it. Let's clean up the books. Keep things tidy.
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace.
Question?
But,
Do you
of
enjoy
course,
this?
it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The
Oh.
door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
That is true. And if this is the dark space between two points in your life, then the interim we just had here of cleaning and reflecting is maybe pulling ourselves out of a darker place into a brighter one. And everyone has their own method of doing so. For Coda, I guess it was cleaning, organizing, taking care of the space around
Which is
them.
the whole point of the puzzle doors, right?
That's
That sooner or later you have to pick up and move.
move.
I really thought that was the point of it.
Items you
This
love at
one
members
gets a
only
bit
prices.
goofy.
Oh boy. Why did I come here today? That's right, I came here to be perfect. Implying that I'm not already perfect, which is, you know. Wow, this person is a better human being than I am. Right now, who do you think about that way in your own life? Who do you know is so well developed as a person they make you feel disgusted with yourself? Compared to whom you feel useless, selfish, ungrateful. I intend to make you into that person. Perfection is within your grasp. And the question is not how we do it, but how we do it
About
effortlessly.
halfway through the game,
This is so
perspective
easy.
shift.
It's so easy. It's so easy. Being perfect is effortless. Oh, that's the
And
key.
you play as the teacher.
How
And
do I
suddenly,
achieve
You
with no
discover
effort?
that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are.
If you are torturing yourself trying to find the right solutions for your life, you're not doing it right. Seek out only one thing. What is the easiest, simplest path forward? Haha, anyone want to do some ecstasy after class? There is no truth. There is no path. Holy shit, you guys. Something is coming out of the back of the room. Look. Nothing. No one. I don't know what that was a
Hard
context
this
for.
one. I feel like it's one of the most
Perfection.
relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human.
Oh, yeah.
I think about this game a lot these days. This one
Pouring
took a
life
lot
lesson
longer
on.
than all the others for
okay.
Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one.
Oh, wow.
That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this. And it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
Stage. Okay. Stage. Here's the stage. Can I climb this ladder? Please, please let me climb the ladder. Let me go up there. Let me climb to new heights. Oh. Alright, the performance is beginning. Places, please. In the scene, you will be playing as me. We are at a gathering of professionals. First, you'll start out leaning against this wall. What wall? Oh, okay. Leaning against the wall. Good. Stay right there. The woman across the room in this chair is a professional photographer of animals. Okay? It's your dream to photograph animals professionally. This is your one chance to learn something from her, to gain something, to succeed. Go on. Say something to her. Hello. Hello? That's it? That's not a conversation. You need to actually converse with her. Be a human being. Do it again. None of these are particularly what I would say in this situation, so let me just start off with all of my hopes and dreams. Here are all of my hopes and dreams. No. That's not what I said to her at all. You're completely missing the tone of the conversation. I was reserved, but I knew what I wanted. I was confident. For some reason, it was just that one moment, but I was confident. Maybe it's that you need a better feeling of the setting. There are a lot of people around us. I'll give you some props to work with. These cones that bounce when you touch them will represent the people nearby. Oh. So worked really hard to get where you are. You're messing it all up again. You'll freak her out if the conversation gets that personal that quickly. Do you not realize how important this was for me? I'll never get another opportunity like this again. Everything was riding on this. I want to try something. Try stepping back from the stage. Okay. This way? Huh. I'm in a cage. Again. Oh.
The game ends with this eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. You know, it looked
Fair.
to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer. But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
Sometimes it takes a while, you know, stuff pops up. June 2010. Mobius strip. To play this game properly, you must keep your eyes closed. Click to begin the game. Do I have to close my eyes for this? It's a door. What? Huh. Do I just close my eyes again?
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible to solve otherwise. And there is a solution, by the way.
I'm going to stop and speak something that is honest, okay? Can't keep making these.
Like I said, I was getting concerned. First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So where's that coming from? But then even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way. His games are going to get more desperate from here on out.
Oh,
After
boy.
this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
Whoa. Oh, another island. Is that a person? How lovely. It's been a long time since I talked to anyone. What's wrong? You look lost. I have nothing left to get to my work. Oh no. What's happened? Did something change? There was a machine that kept me going and it stopped. I'm trying to find this engine that used to protect me to start it again. You're looking for a machine. I think I know where it is. It isn't far. I need to see it to know why it stopped. I can take you, but there is a problem.
If the last game featured Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations, this one turns it up to 11.
It's guarded by a difficult puzzle.
Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this.
Okay.
Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for?
A sense of fulfillment, of accomplishment, even if it is just minuscule, of that sigh of relief, that little bit of serotonin you get when you complete something, when you put something out into the world, or even just for yourself.
Because from my perspective at the time, and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on.
You press a switch here, and the door opens.
You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
There's no machine here. Trust me, you'll see. You have to say that your work is fun and easy. You have to say that game development is simple and joyous and that you love it 100% of the time. Why did I feel so awful when I said that? Don't worry about it, just keep talking. Keep saying that creation is easy. When I make games, I feel completely energized. Yes, that's wonderful. Keep going.
Seeing this game at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like, video games are not worth this amount of suffering. This is someone I really cared about, and I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me. I don't know. This is what I felt at the time. I don't know how else to explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop.
There's the jail again, the prison.
But it didn't stop. After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
The machine. Guard, okay. We've captured the machine. It's waiting for you. You can begin the interrogation whenever you like. I intend to be quick. Very good. Just be warned that someone called the press. We might have a bit of attention on this one. Also, one more thing they should know about this machine. It calls itself Coda. So this is it.
And of course, it's the machine.
The machine that calls itself Coda. You stopped. Your work was keeping us alive. It was only because of your creations that any of us can make it through every day. I've been so alone. Apologize for leaving me. No? Nothing? Alright then. I will apologize to people on your behalf. My friends, I have a troubling revelation. The machine will not apologize to us. But this is not important. We are stronger than it thinks we are. Let us show it that we are not failures. Follow me. We will destroy everything that the machine has created. And we're just destroying the entire area. Nothing shall remain.
So now the work is becoming self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games.
It's fair, yeah.
It might get him out of isolation. And so, as I'm thinking this, I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for it? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work?
Oh no, not the idea room. All those little ideas in there. Oh.
So I started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one,
Holy shit.
and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
So then what?
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something... I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy.
But how did Coda feel about it?
So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's.
Okay.
This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
Why am I getting a pit in my stomach? Just the name The Tower has a lot of implications.
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, The Tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game.
It reflects Coda's very cold mentality at this time.
This room actually has a maze in it.
Oh shit.
Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise. So the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played. It actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the levels, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
I give up on the maze.
And to be fair, it's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable.
Fair.
Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end.
Gotcha.
But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze?
You could say battling with mental illness is like trying to navigate an invisible maze. You don't know where the walls are, you don't know where the dead ends are, you're just kind of stumbling through until you make it through. Sometimes you get assistance. Through medication, through people, having that bridge, gapping that invisible maze, but sometimes people don't. And they're just left stumbling through until maybe they find their way out, or they hit a wall and they go back to the very beginning.
The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
15, 16, 17. Okay.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first 2 challenges and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem. But I can open this door for you, so let me do that.
I mean,
was I a failure for not understanding this game? I mean, I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution. but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why. I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them...
Big hole.
I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years, I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean.
Okay, so yeah, the 3...
And he wouldn't. I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left, and it felt somehow like I had failed. I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you. I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable. And the people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself.
So is this game a confession? If there was an answer, a meaning, would it make you any happier? Would you stop taking my games and showing them to people against my wishes, which doing right now? Giving them something that is not yours to give, violating the one boundary that keeps me safe? Forcing an interpretation upon a game that doesn't need interpretation at all. It's not to understand, it's just to accept how they are. Would you stop changing my games? Stop adding lampposts to them?
And then you stopped. And I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing. What does that mean?
Huh. This whole time, he's trying to workshop and figure out Coda and solve a problem that doesn't need to be solved. And inversely, Coda is seeing this as almost the opposite. But I do hope that one day it clicks, and that you make peace with this thing you are wrestling.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
And when you finally see what I'm talking about, don't say anything.
That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work, is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. And I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
Oh. What is this? Train station. Clock with no hands.
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease.
Trains. Guess we just get on. Find a seat somewhere.
Solution.
Oh.
I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons. Even now, the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
What in the hell? We in like a cave system?
If I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like. What now? I think I need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for, and so I'm just gonna... Okay.
Now we're out here walking alone. For a game that projected this idea of loneliness and abandonment throughout all these maps while having a companion guiding us along, now that we understand that loneliness was never the point, only to have that one companion leave makes it truly feel alone. We're just go down. No, we actually get out. And we're back at the train station. Punctuated by solemn music and chirping birds. Just us and no one else. And the approaching storm, it seems. So we either die or we ascend upwards. Let's see which one it is. We ascend upwards. Oh. Wow. One endless maze. For R. And that was the beginner's guide. I really had no idea what I was in store for. I had no idea what this game was about. It looked interesting. And that was a hell of a lot more than I bargained for. And coming from the creator of the Stanley Parable, I expect nothing less than the beauty that was imbued within this game. An amazing analysis of mental health, of personal perception, of sometimes not seeking to understand, but to just accept people and situations and things as they are. Anyway, if you enjoyed the beginner's guide, I recommend playing through it yourself. It's a lot more impactful your own time through. You can find it on Steam. Fantastic game. Give it a playthrough if you'd like. Otherwise, I've been SinisterHeart. Thank you all for watching.